welcome to Guys, a video series talking about different types of baseball guys. In this episode, we're talking about brothers. I'm going to try to put together the best roster I can that is entirely made up of siblings. This was kind of tricky, and some compromises had to be made, because to get the good brother, sometimes you gotta just take on the dead weight of the other brother.
What's in the basket?
My brother.
Jesus God!
Okay, it's not quite like that. My criteria for this was to have an 11 or 12-man pitching staff with a 5-man rotation. The bullpen would have to be made up of guys who made at least 25% of their career appearances in relief. And lastly, there has to be a viable backup for each position. Catcher, Joe Torre. My initial instinct here was to go with the catching Molina brothers and start Yachty with Benji or Jose as my backup. Yachty was way better defensively than Joe Torre, but Torre's bat and positional versatility, he can back up third base for you, more than make up for it. You gotta take on his brother Frank, a first baseman who wasn't great, but he could hit a little bit. Whenever I think about Joe Torre, I always think of the classic Vin Scully pun, when Joe suffered a foul tip one night in Milwaukee and switched to third the next day. Scully said if he doesn't go back behind the plate again, he'll be forever known as Chicken Catcher Torre. Just elite dad joke skills by Vin there. First base, Felipe Alou. Felipe Alou was more of an outfielder, but he did play a lot of first too. In fact, in a couple of his best years, he started primarily at first. Felipe was a terrific player, and his brother Matty Alou gives us a really good bench bat. Eddie Murray would have been another option to go with here at first, along with little-known brother Rich Murray. I decided to stick with the Alous since even though Murray had a better career than Felipe overall, their 7-year peaks were fairly similar, and Matty Alou gives me some value off the bench, whereas Rich Murray would be complete dead weight as a sub-replacement level first baseman who only played 2 partial seasons. And since I was speaking of dad jokes earlier, if I wanted to go with the dad joke version of this team, I'd switch out Matty for Boog Powell and platoon him with Felipe at first. Second base, Roberto Alomar. With Roberto, I get a Hall of Fame second baseman and a very solid backup catcher with his brother Sandy Alomar Jr. If I had gone with the Molinas at catcher, I was going to end up with Billy Ripken as my starting second baseman. I like this lineup better, even if that defensive squad would have been superior. Third base, George Brett.
I'm George Brett from Kansas City. And his brother Ken Brett.
George gives us an all-time third baseman and gives us our one position player / pitcher split, with his lesser-known brother Ken giving us a competent lefty bullpen arm. Ken was a #1 draft pick who never quite lived up to his hype, bouncing around teams as a solid mid-rotation starter / swingman who finished off his career with some okay relief seasons. Shortstop, Cal Ripken. Mentioned Billy Ripken earlier, and of course gotta have Cal in there at short, one of the best shortstops in baseball history. But brother Billy is not dead weight either. He gives you an excellent glove to back up Alomar at second, and he can also back up his brother at short on the rare occasions that Cal sits. Billy doesn't have much of a bat, but it does say fuckface on the knob. Left field and center field, Joe DiMaggio and Dom DiMaggio. The DiMaggio brothers are a no-brainer and my one brother duo to both play in the starting lineup. Dom only ever played center, so I'm putting him there. Not sure which of the two was better in center, but they were both very good. There was, of course, a third DiMaggio brother, the eldest, Vince. Vince is definitely the worst DiMaggio ball player, but he was still good, a good defensive center fielder with some decent power. Vince was the outgoing, rambunctious brother to Joe's introvert, and that tale can be told in strikeouts. Joe rarely whiffing while Vince was a free swinger who set the single-season record for batter strikeouts in 1938 with 134, which is quaint to think about today. Vince didn't make much money off of baseball and was out of the game 1 year prior to the league instituting a pension plan. Apparently, Joe and Dom barely spoke to him in later years, but did send him their used clothes. Right field, Hank Aaron. Another no-brainer, but in order to get Hank, we will have to have some dead weight on the bench, with his brother Tommy, a sub-replacement level first baseman / outfielder. But worth it. Hank and Tommy hold the record for most home runs by a pair of brothers at 763. Hank's doing most of the heavy lifting there. DH, Vladimir Guerrero. I went back and forth here between Vlad and Dick Allen, who were both similarly elite hitters. Allen was perhaps a slight bit better, but it's close. They both have brothers that would be mostly dead weight on the bench, although Wilton Guerrero would at least provide some pinch running value. And Vlad was better defensively, so he can get some time in right field as well. Then that made me think that maybe I should take Dick Allen at first base instead of Felipe Alou. He's definitely an upgrade with the bat, but I do like having Matty Alou's solid lefty bat off the bench. I mean, I've got to have some sort of value off the bench, right? So I'm going to stick with the Alou and Guerrero brothers. Starting rotation. There really is an embarrassment of riches in the pitching brothers category. I left off Christy Mathewson and his lesser-known brother Henry, Rick and Paul Rushell, and Levon and Orlando Hernandez. We also left off Tom Glavine, whose brother Mike played 6 games as a first baseman. Greg and Mike Maddox. The professor will be our ace, one of the best starters in baseball history, and one of the most cerebral. Eddie Perez tells a story of Maddox purposefully giving up a home run to Jeff Bagwell in an 8-0 game in July just to set him up for a strikeout in the playoffs. He also allegedly had a penchant for pretty disgusting pranks. Teammates have relayed stories of him pissing into a jacuzzi full of players and taking a t-shirt from another teammate's locker, wiping his butt with it, and then returning it. His brother Mike was not great, but he provides a competent bullpen arm. Then we get a quartet of old guys, Phil and Joe Niekro, and Gaylord and Jim Perry. These 4 give us 2 knuckleballers, Phil and Joe Niekro, and 2 guys infamous for doctoring the baseball. Joe Niekro again, check out this move, and Gaylord Perry. You can tell Perry loved toying with the press, barely containing a smile when asked if he threw a spitter.
I really do throw a forkball, and it's a very effective pitch.
He even had his kids trained on this. In 1971, a reporter asked his 5-year-old daughter if Daddy threw a grease ball, and without missing a beat, she said, "It's a hard slider." Elite parenting. I could just round out the rotation with these 4 dudes, and that would be fine, as all 4 of these guys are good, but I'm going to move the 2 lesser brothers to the pen, as they both had more than 25% of their career appearances in relief. So I get to take advantage of that rule.
It's a wonderful thing in which, yes, I invented.
So Jim and Joe will make excellent additions to our pen, and meanwhile, we'll add Pedro and Ramon Martinez to our rotation. I would have liked to move Ramon to the pen, but he only pitched a few games in his career out there, so he'll have to be our 5th starter if we want to keep Pedro. But it's not like Ramon was bad. He had a very solid career, putting up 25.9 WAR over 14 seasons. Bullpen. So we've got Mike Maddox, Jim Perry, Joe Niekro, and Ken Brett. Our last 2 guys will be the Dean brothers, who we get to add because
We have rules.
Paul Dean was never really a full-time starter, serving as a swingman for the Gas House Gang before becoming more of a reliever in his later seasons. Dizzy, though, surprisingly enough, pitched a bunch out of the pen, even during his best years. In his 30-win season in 1934, he started 33 games and closed out 14, pitching 17 times in relief. This is definitely an old-timey type of thing, but maybe some teams should bring this back, call it like a super swingman or something. So there we go, that's my brother guys team. We left off a lot of great duos, so let us know in the comments who you'd take instead.
You got